So the two cases very quickly just talk about how does this operationalize. One of them was tariffs. This happened very early on. This was something that none of the Democratic AGs were prepared for. And so we had these very early on conversations, and I have a background in economics and was watching this go on, and I just said to myself, and some of our best lawsuits have come from, I'm not sure he can do that. That's literally how they start sometimes. I don't know trade law, but I'm not sure he can do that. That's how tariffs started in Oregon. And so I went to Dustin, who's a much better lawyer than me. Dustin teaches at law school. He's a brainiac fellow over here. And so I'm very sheepish. And so I say, I'm not sure he can do this. And both of us agree that the president deserves a lot of deference, right? In emergency situations, right? You want your president to be able to operate in an emergency situations without people questioning it. However, this was very different. And so we started researching it very early on, and we said, hey, there is something here. And we were very far ahead. We were able to convince a handful of states to join with us in this lawsuit. And then we, the lawyers at the Oregon Department of Justice, became the first lawyers in any Democratic Department of Justice to be certified in the Court of International Trade in New York. And throughout this process, we were successful there. Unanimous decision. We were successful in the appellate court. Again, I think it was a 6-3, or it was, I think it was even greater than that. And then we went up to the Supreme Court, where just last Friday, it's funny, we should say this, I was in a taxi cab ride trying to get home, and I was pressing refresh, just like I did no joke. I'm sitting there on my phone, pressing refresh on the phone, trying to see when the opinion's gonna pop. It's 7 a.m. on the West Coast. So the little bit tidbit, the opinions page around 7:01, the opinions will pop on the page, and so you just click it. And then of course you look at it and you go, oh my gosh, it's 170 pages. So then you're trying to, of course you cheat, just kind of like getting the prize in your cereal box, right? It's like, I'm not gonna eat, why did the parents tell you have to eat all the cereal down to the end? It makes no sense, because I don't do that with my Supreme Court opinions. Scroll all the way down to figure out, okay, yes. In fact, we won this 6-3, and again, when you think about how our democratic institutions are holding up, one of the most humbling things that I've ever been a part of is sitting at council table in the United States Supreme Court and hearing the 9 justices debate and ask questions about these fundamental institutions of our government, and talking about how no president gets to steal the powers of Congress. It's co-equal branches of government. Incredibly humbling moment. And then to be able to sit there and be a part of that opinion with all of the lawyers and staff of the Department of Justice and all of us. Incredibly humbling, especially when you go around and you talk to small businesses who are paying these tariffs. Incredibly impactful, and it doesn't mean that the president is going to try and do some things going down, and we can talk about that, but we're watching very closely. Incredibly impactful moment from beginning to end, I think, for the entire country, especially what is really beneath the surface and the substance of that opinion will, I think, stand up very well for America.